Thank you for listening to this episode of the Feldencast. I'm your host, Ethan Cowan. Hello, welcome to the Feldencast. This is episode 17, as yet untitled. I should just maybe try to think of a title right here on the spot. Well, it's a breather. I don't know if that's a good name or not. It's one of these lessons that I made up. And it's a breather in that it has to do with breathing, but it's also like a little break from the sequence of the Alexander Yanai lessons, which are all kind of challenging and somewhat long. I've had a few people suggest that I make some shorter episodes because it's kind of daunting to sign up for an hour-long audio track. Although I think that's actually like a form of sticker shock. Like a lot of times when you get on the floor and do an hour-long lesson, it's not that it seems really long, but it's like, who has the time to lie on the floor for an hour? So anyway, this is shorter. This is like half an hour, and it's still untitled. It's kind of, in a way, filling in, not gaps, but it's developing some of the themes that were introduced in the previous two episodes about flexion, kind of rounding the back. But I've tried to make it a little bit simpler. So maybe we could just call it like simply rounding the back. Although who am I to say? Maybe you should let me know if this one is simple or what the title should be. Yeah, everybody just write in with what you think the title should be and I'll go back and change it in the feed. Okay, hope you enjoy. This is the little breather, episode 17. Please start this lesson by standing. You don't have to stand any particular way. You just stand. And then feel for yourself if you're standing equally on the 2 feet or if there's more weight in one leg than the other. And then just feel how your 2 arms are hanging by your sides. Does one arm hang a little bit closer to you than the other? Feel the carriage of the head, how you're carrying your head. And then just walk around the room a little bit. Feel how your walking is. When you're walking, are you walking the same on the right leg as you are on the left leg? Is there some difference? Do the 2 arms swing the same? Do the 2 arms swing at all? Okay, now just walk to some place in the room where you can lie down on the floor, lie on your back. And take a few moments to make small adjustments so you can lie on your back comfortably. The arms can just rest comfortably along your sides. and you have the legs resting comfortably on the floor. And just spend a few moments observing yourself. You could observe your thoughts, you could observe your feelings, sensations. And now just observe your breathing taking place, which is like an action that you're not consciously doing. Okay, now roll onto one of your sides and then use your arms to help you come up to sitting position. And now sit in a way so that the knees are bent. And the two soles of the feet are facing one another. Now, the knees don't have to be bent very much, but the legs aren't straight, so there's some way so that the soles of the feet can face one another. Maybe the soles of the feet touch one another. But you're sitting with the outside of each leg kind of toward the floor at least. And now in this position, just put your right palm on the floor in between your legs. And you put your left palm on the floor to the left of your left leg. And each palm is just somewhere comfortable on the floor. And in this position, before you start to do any movement, just feel your breathing taking place, the inhalations and the exhalations. Okay, now the next time that you're exhaling, take your forehead just in the direction of your left knee. And then with the inhalation, come back up to the starting position. And then just take a few more breaths in this position. So we'll make this a little cycle that you can run through a couple times, a few times. So not every exhalation, but you come to a good exhalation where you're ready to take the forehead in the direction of the knee, and you do that with the exhalation. And then with the inhalation, you come back up to sitting, more or less upright, and you just wait for a few more breaths, and then you find an exhalation to continue this little sequence. So with an exhalation, the forehead is going in the direction of the left knee. And with the inhalation, you come back up to the starting position. And it's really not important that the forehead get anywhere close to the left knee as long as it's going in that direction. Okay, good. Now just pause for a moment. Now you're going to try pretty much the same thing, except instead of taking the head in that direction with the exhalation, now try it with the inhalation. What feels different about that? Where do you feel a difference in your chest or in your back when you take your head toward your left knee when you're inhaling? Okay, now go back to taking the forehead in the direction of the left knee with an exhalation to feel, just to compare. Would you say it's easier to bend in that direction when you're breathing out or when you're breathing in? Okay, now just pause in sitting, any position that's comfortable to sit. And then come back to some version of this, sitting with the soles of the feet facing one another, maybe touching. The knees not straight, more or less bent. And again, put your right palm on the floor in between your legs, really anywhere you want in that shape that's framed by the two bent legs. And the left palm on the floor to the left of the left leg. Okay, now find a way to bring your left knee, such as it is, in the direction of your forehead. So there's not necessarily a right way to do that movement. So don't worry about getting it right. Just figure out how could you bring your left knee in the direction of the forehead. The left foot, outside of the left foot, could stay on the floor. And you might feel that you shift your weight a little bit in order to bring the left knee like that. And maybe the back needs to get round in order for the left knee to come in the direction of the forehead. Okay, great. Now just pause for a moment in this position. And now again, feel your breathing while you're just sitting there, the hands on the floor. And now a few times, you try to lift the left knee in the direction of the forehead while you're breathing out. Maybe it makes you wonder, like, what were you doing before when you weren't necessarily paying attention to the breathing? When were you trying to lift the knee? The out breath or with the in breath? For now, you just try to bring the knee in the direction of the forehead with the exhalation. Good. And now a few times, try doing it with the inhalation just to feel how that's different, because it is different. And then go back to bringing the left knee in the direction of the forehead with the exhalation, just to feel the difference. Is it easier with the exhalation or with the inhalation? And now leave the left leg quiet and go back to taking the forehead in the direction of the left knee. What's that like now? You try to do it with the exhalations to feel what that's like. Good, and then once or twice bring the knee in the direction of the forehead and the forehead in the direction of the knee with the exhalation. Okay, very good. Now leave it and just roll into your back for a moment and pause. Just rest for a little. And as you're resting horizontally, anything that you notice in the sensation, the self-perception of your back? Any feelings on the right side that are different than the feelings you're having on the left side? Okay, great. Now, again, roll onto one of your sides and then use your arms to help you come up to sitting. And come back into the sitting position where the 2 feet are such that the 2 soles are facing one another. It means that the 2 knees are bent and they're kind of out to the sides if it's comfortable. The legs don't have to be very bent as long as they're not straight. And now put your left hand on the floor in between your legs. And the right palm can go on the floor to the right of the right leg, anywhere that's comfortable. And now in this position, you can take your forehead in the direction of your right knee while you exhale. And you could do it a number of times. You don't have to do it with every exhalation. If you make the movement gentle and not extreme, it gives you a lot of room to feel other things about the movement. For example, how does your weight shift a little bit when you take your forehead in the direction of the right knee? Does the right knee get closer to the floor when you bring the forehead in that direction? Does it get farther from the floor? Does it stay still? And how good can you be about synchronizing the exhalation with this movement of carrying your head in a certain direction? And what do you notice on this side that you didn't notice before on the other side? Okay, great. Now, pause. And now, a few times, without doing anything specific or particular with your head, you just bring your right knee away from the floor in the direction of the forehead. Anyway. And again, if you make it a soft, unambitious movement, then it leaves a lot of space for you to feel, well, how does the weight shift? And what do you do with your back to bring the knee in the direction of the forehead? Does the back stay straight, or does it have to get round in certain places? And now just see if you could bring the right knee in the direction of the forehead when you exhale. And now just try it with the inhalation, just to see, how is that different? Then again with the exhalation. Okay, and now pause and just let your mind be rinsed by a little time passing. Good. And now just feel the breathing in the sitting position, the left hand on the floor in between the legs, the right hand over to the right. And then with one of the exhalations, you bring your knee in the direction of the forehead and the forehead in the direction of the knee at the same time as the exhalation. Okay, great. Now leave it alone and roll onto your back. Rest again for a moment. Okay, now once again, roll to one side and use both of your arms to bring yourself up to some sitting position. And again, you have the soles of the feet facing one another or touching one another. So both knees are either a little bit or a lot out to the sides. And now interlace your fingers and bring the two hands behind your head. And bring the two elbows forward and the head also forward and down. So you've got the two elbows forward and down, the head is kind of forward and down, the upper back is round, so is the neck. And now in this position, just observe your breathing. Inhalations, exhalations. And then with one of the exhalations, you just bring both of your knees a little bit away from the floor. And with an inhalation, you let them return to their starting position. So a few times like that, you find some exhalation where you can lift, bring the two knees closer to one another. And with an inhalation, they kind of open out again. Okay, now find out, what does it feel like if you do it with the inhalation, bring the knees together? How does that feel in your lower back, or any part of your back? Okay, and then again, with the exhalation, the knees come away from the floor. What does that do with the back? Okay, awesome. Now, just roll yourself down onto your back. Bring arms down along your sides. Just rest one more time. And while you're resting like this, just feel the two legs, the pelvis resting on the floor, the feeling in your lower back, the middle back, upper back and shoulders. Two arms resting along your sides. And your neck and your head resting. And then roll yourself to one side and bring yourself up to sitting, and then come up to standing. Okay, great. Now just stand for a moment and feel, how's the standing seem to you now? Is your weight more in one leg than the other leg? How does that seem? The two arms hanging by your sides. The carriage of the head, how you're carrying your head. And then walk around the room for a little bit to see if you feel any different than you did half an hour ago. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Feldencast. If you'd like to reach out and say hello, please do. You can email me at ethan@feldencast.com. I offer the Feldencast in a spirit of transparent generosity. If you have enjoyed your experience, and if you want to give back, please check out the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Feldencast. Right now, this podcast is just a baby. We have, on average, 10, 12 listeners per episode. So if you'd like to help the Feldencast grow, please share this episode or any other episode that you've enjoyed, especially with family and friends. Thanks again for listening. I'm really enjoying this project, and I hope you are too.